It's a dirty place, Earth wants a present to keep our children safe. No one came against poverty, that should probably solve the problem. Politicians hashtag comedy, what I was once proud to be, I became ashamed of. It was just a word, something that we named us. Master, take them chains off me. What do you think my grandmother would've gave to be free? Pardon me. The world is playing video games with my heart. The world is playing video games with my heart. The world is playing video games with my heart.
With the Barbell Complex, we're going to go through a series of different movements, upper body and lower body, to help get the whole body fired up, get you warmed up, ready for the workouts. It's a great way to get your nervous system fired up, get some blood flowing, get your muscles and your body temperature up, get you ready for your workout. So you can either use this as an actual workout itself and start to increase the repetitions and the weight, or utilize it in your warm-up. So what we're going to do is we're going to aim for 6 repetitions of each movement. We're going to go through a straight-legged deadlift, a bent over row, a clean, an overhead press, and a back squat, all without putting the bar down, okay? The key is to get these movements without putting the bar down. If you're unable to use a 45-pound Olympic bar, that's fine. You can go to a smaller bar, or you can even use dumbbells until you get the strength and the endurance to be able to master these movements with a bar. So let's take a look at the first movement. We're going to start with our feet fairly close together, about hip width, and you're going to maintain fairly straight legs. Slight bend in the knee, but imagine now trying to push your hips away from the bar, bringing your chest to the floor, pause, drive the hips back into the bar, and stand back up. Push back, pull back up. Now with this, imagine you're trying to bend the bar around your body so your shoulder blades squeeze together behind you. Always keeping the bar tight against your legs. Chin is packed, so nice and straight with your spine. Pull back up. Always try to imagine trying to make a double chin when you're going to the deadlift. So head down, you can bring it back up when you come up, but wherever your spine goes, your head goes with it. Nice and straight, all the way down and back up. Number 2 is a bent over row. It's basically going to be the bottom position of that deadlift, but now you're going to pull up and back towards your belly button, hold, and then down back slow. Squeeze the elbows together, shoulder blades together, pause, and under control. Try not to crank those up too fast, slow and controlled reps. From there, you're going to go into a hang clean. We're going to break this down into a couple different movements because this is one of the hardest movements to learn and even to teach. So the first movement you can practice, and you can practice this one by itself when doing the clean, is going to be practicing a shrug. So you're going to grab onto your barbell, feet can be a little bit wider. You're going to dip down, push your butt away from the bar, so the bar comes down towards your knees. It's obviously going to vary depending on your height and the length of your legs and arms. But you're going to drop it down to a comfortable position where your hips are stacked behind you. And now all you're going to do is you're going to drive all your power forward and up onto your toes, shrug your shoulders to your ears and pause. Push back, drive up and hold. You'll notice I go right up onto my toes, jogging my hips forward into the bar, creating as much power and speed as possible, and then lifting up, arms stay straight, shrug, hold to the ears. So that's number 1, practice those. You're then going to work on a high pull, where we're now trying to get the bar from point A up to point B. So same position, first movement is going to be the shrug, but now you're going to drive the elbows up, pulling the bar towards your chin. Sit up, push the hips back, shrug up, drive the bar up towards your chin. Push back, and back down. Couple things with the high pull. because we're trying to get the bar from point A to point B, the fastest way to do that is a straight line. We want to keep the bar tight to our chest rather than going up and out and away. So as tight as you can, shrug, high pull, keep your wrists straight. You'll notice my elbows are higher than my wrists. You want to avoid from dropping the elbows, something that would look like this, and pulling up, okay? We want to avoid that. Use your hips for power. Shrug it up towards your chin. So that's number 2. Number 3 is now we're going to work on transitioning, getting underneath the bar and bringing your elbows through, okay? This does require a ton of mobility through your lats, through your wrists and your hands. So you may have to work on some of the mobility before you can master this movement. You'll also find that because we're using a light resistance, typically a light resistance for this movement, the bar can actually begin to move fairly easy, and you may actually lift it too high. Be careful you don't hit yourself in the chin. Always make sure that you don't have your tongue out. That does happen. You don't want to bite your tongue off. Trust me, that has happened before. So you want to be fast and powerful. And remember, the fastest point from point A to point B is a straight line. The quicker you can get under the bar, the less distance you have to move the bar. So you want to work on getting under it and fast and explosive. Bring the bar straight up. That'll look something similar to this. Catch, and then reposition, stand back up. If your elbows are here every single time, that's fine. Just start the transition, follow through. Teach the brain where you want them to go every time. So practice those movements to perfect the clean, because once you're done the clean, you're then going to go into the overhead press. Now the overhead press, again, does require an absolute ton of mobility through your shoulders. A lot of the times what I see is if we don't have proper mobility in the shoulder, the brain compensates by creating that in our lower back, and it leads to lower back problems. For example, let's say my shoulder, I'm trying to get my hand straight over top of my head, but if I'm limited, because my shoulder is tight and this is as far as I can get, my brain is smart enough to realize I'm trying to get this hand overhead, but I'm limited by the shoulder, so it's going to try to help me out. And what it's going to do is it's going to start bending my back, and it's going to create that compensation to help me get there. So if I'm here lifting, can't get there, my back will now bend, and now my hand is there, and I'm going to end up with a lot of back pain. You end up going to the chiropractor, telling them your back hurts, give them all kinds of money, but the back is not the problem. The shoulder is the problem. We have to make sure we have the mobility and then the stability to be able to hold that movement as well. So first, make sure you have a proper range of motion to be able to do any overhead pressing. If you don't, you can always send me a message and we can take a look at alternatives on how to regress this movement and how to create the mobility so we can still train the shoulders but create the mobility to eventually be able to do the overhead press. When you do the overhead press, you want to imagine trying to keep your core tight. Put your thumbs on your ribs, pinky finger on your hips, pull those two together, hold them there and lock them into your core is tight, and that will avoid you from going into that compensation and injuring your lower back. Additionally, you want to also I always try to say punch the ceiling. So press your hands up, fast and explosive, and you're trying to almost go up and a little bit back. Try to hide your ear with your elbow. So press up, back and hold, lock the ribs down and return back towards your chest. That'll look something similar to this. Now you'll notice when we're doing this strict overhead press, we're not using our legs. Okay? If the weight is too heavy, either again, drop it down to a smaller bar, dumbbells, or you can start to use a little bit of a cheat by dipping the knees, using some of the legs to help press that weight up. Control it on the way down. Okay? Don't worry so much about lifting a heavy weight. Check your ego at the door. Start small and progress up to get stronger without any injuries. After the overhead press, you're then going to widen your grip on the bar, bring it back into a back squat, and we're going to go into 6 back squats. Now, if you don't have the mobility and the strength to get the bar behind your head, you can keep the bar in front and do a front squat. Okay, it'll look something like this. So when you're here, be careful that you don't hit the back of your head or the vertebrae on the back of your neck through your spine. A lot of times if you widen your grip or go into a false grip with your thumb over the bar, that's going to correct some inability to actually get your shoulders in the proper position. And the wider I find your hands are, the easier it is to get into this position. You can widen your stance so your feet are shoulder width apart, drive the knees apart, sit back into the squat, pause and press back up. Try to work through as much of a range of motion as you can so you get the body nice and warm. When you're coming out of this position, use your legs, don't use your shoulders, dip down, press up, bring the bar back down. If you're unable to get the bar behind your head, you can still again go with the front squat. You're just now going to go into the same position you were in with the clean. Elbows up high, drop down to the squat, press back up. So you can choose back squat or front squat, but you're going to go through all of those movements, 6 repetitions, nice and fast, under control, without stopping. Barbell Complex, give it a try.